morning, good morning, good morning. Come on and put your hands together and welcome to another International Saturday Morning Forum. Listen, we have a big treat tuned in for you today. We have Reverend Jackson and Dr. Yeri, and we want you guys to come and tune in because the push is on, the push is on.
Shall overcome someday. And we shall. Oh, we shall. Over the hills and mountains we shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my, oh, I believe that we shall overcome someday.
We shall overcome someday. Thank you again for tuning into our International Saturday Morning Forum. We welcome you, family. We're so delighted that you have chosen to tune in with us to another live broadcast here at the Rainbow Push Coalition. We're live right now all over the world and on Impact Television. We're live right now on WVON AM dial 1619. We're so glad to have our founder and our leader, the Reverend Dr. Jesse Lewis Jackson, back with us this morning, who's been on the road traveling in the states of Maryland and Florida and Georgia, making sure that our people get elected. We're asking that you continue to pray for those leaders who are still waiting for ballots and votes to be counted. Say, we want the ballots to be counted. Come on, let's say it better than we want the ballots to be counted. So we definitely want to continue to pray for those leaders and pray for Reverend Jackson as he's continued to push and fight for those Democratic leaders who are waiting for ballots to continue to be counted. Ways to support Rainbow Push: you can text JLJ77 to number 41444 to support the work that we do here at Rainbow Push. Again, to support the efforts that we're doing here at our national headquarters and to our satellite offices, you can text JLJ77 to 41444. If you'd like to join the Rainbow Push Coalition, you can call us now. We have those waiting on the lines. Call 773-256-2775 or go to rainbowpush.org. Please join our movement. Please join Santita Jackson on this Monday evening as she begins her Let's Talk About It. We'll be talking about the millennial vote, the voting analysis from the midterm elections this Monday night at Pearl's Place at 6 p.m. Today's broadcast is being dedicated to Brother Philip Jackson, who is the founder of the Black Star Project and former CEO of the Chicago Housing Authority, former Chief of Staff at Chicago Public Schools, and community activist who passed earlier this week. So please continue to keep the family of Philip Jackson in your prayers. So we dedicate this broadcast to his life and his memory and to the work that he continued to fight for those who had no voice and those who are on the margins. We're asking if you please pray for the following persons and their families, the victims and families of loved ones of the Thousand Oaks, California shooting and the California wildfires, those who are being affected by those. Please keep in prayers the family of Ramsey Lewis Sr. on the death of his son, Ramsey Lewis III. The family of Jeanette Houston Harris, one of the 13 students expelled from Southern University and all Louisiana state schools after the Baton Rouge sit-in during the Civil Rights Movement in 1960, her family. The family of A. Barry Rand, one of the first CEOs of a Fortune 500 company, which he led, Avis Rent-A-Car, and a 31-year career as Executive Vice President for Worldwide Operations. Please continue to keep his family in prayer. The family of Wally Triplett, 92 years old, who transitioned. He was the first drafted African-American NFL player to start in the game. And the granddaughter of longtime devoted Rainbow Push volunteer Jerlene Lambert and daughter of Rainbow Push Coalition studio employee Calvin Steen. Keep that family in your prayers. Also, Wilma Lewis Stewart, the mother of organist Stevie Stewart and the sister of Miss Louetta Mae Evans, the wife of one of our leaders, Reverend Dr. Clay Evans. On a lighter note, we would like to say happy belated birthday to our Rainbow Push custodian, Mr. James Stennis. Let's give him a hand. He makes sure this place is in top-notch form when we come each and every day and even here on Saturday mornings. So we're continuing to do our satellite offices host annual conferences and conventions, and the next one will be held in Washington, D.C. on December 4th and 5th. Be held in December 4th and 5th by our D.C. Telecom office. So we're talking about scholarships and education. The Toyota Financial Services Making Life Easier Scholarship is now available. The deadline to apply is November 13, 2018. You can receive information about this scholarship at www.scholarsapply.org/Toyota Financial/. Again, this Toyota scholarship is available now. The deadline is November 13th. www.scholarsapply.org/Toyota Financial. Congressman Rush and community leaders will have a protest on this Monday at 11 a.m. at the Target located at Roosevelt and Clark. Again, Congressman Rush and leaders across our city will have a community protest this Monday at 11 a.m. at the Target on Roosevelt and Clark. We're saying take TIF dollars back. We want to save our Targets on the South Side, amen? We want to save our Targets located at 86 in Cottage Grove and 119th in the Marshfield Plaza. We want to save our Targets. So we're asking those who are listening to this broadcast and who's present here today to meet us this Monday at 11 o'clock a.m. at Roosevelt and Clark. Somebody say, I'm glad to be here today. We're so glad that you are here, and we want you to continue to be with us and work with us as we fight for those who need to be saved by any form of racism or anything like that. Rainbow Push continues to stand for those who needs a voice, and we need you to participate, donate, and join the Rainbow Push Coalition. Lastly, here at Rainbow Push, we will give out gift baskets and holiday food baskets. You must show your ID and your voter registration card and apply here at Rainbow Push. You can register Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Saturdays 8:30 to 1 p.m. Amen. Today we have the Executive Director for the Cook County Housing Authority. We'll ask if he'll come right now at this moment to offer remarks. Let's give him a hand as he comes. The Executive Director for Cook County Housing Authority. Amen. Did you guys enjoy the breakfast this morning? He will join us for some remarks.
Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here today with you in a place that has done so much good and accomplished so much for so many people. Reverend Jackson, thank you so much for your support. So I'm here to say that we in Cook County are fighting the fight to provide more affordable housing for people who need it. Veterans, for certain, homeless people, families with children who are struggling. That's our mission. We're able to help about 17,000 families in Cook County, but we could help another 100,000 more. So that's why what happened and what we're going to hear about today, electing people who believe in this mission is so critical, because that's how we're going to make a difference at the end of the day. It's people getting involved in political will. We at Cook County are now undergoing a major renovation program all over the county, all the way from Wheeling to Fort Heights. So we're investing in our communities, especially in the south suburbs. Fort Heights, Chicago Heights, Robbins, Harvey. These are places where people deserve to live in dignity. And we're providing housing that is top-notch housing. The people who live in the south suburbs where we represent deserve to live in good housing. They deserve to be safe, and that's what we're providing. The other thing we're very committed to is our youth. We work with a number of organizations to put young people to work, get them the training they need if that's what is lacking, get them the education they need if that's what they're lacking, and then get good, solid careers. Not everybody is cut out for a four-year college education. We understand that. So we have partnerships with unions and manufacturing companies that will train young people and other folks to get the skills they need in this economy. Because right now is the time where workers are needed. Workers have leverage today, and we got to utilize that. But in order to utilize it best, we got to make sure that we're educated and that we're trained. So we in Cook County are trying to fill that gap that exists in our communities, our underserved communities, people that just want a chance, people that have been left behind. Our mission is to engage those folks, not only those people who live in our housing, but everybody on the south side and the south suburbs who is looking for a chance. So while our main mission is to provide housing, our real mission is to lift people and make this country work for everybody as it should. And again, a great honor to be here with you all. And we've already formed a couple of great partnerships this morning, and there's going to be a lot more to report about when the projects we talked about today get completed. So I look forward to coming back and seeing you all again. Thank you so much.
Come on, we can do better than that. He's trying to help us provide adequate housing from the Cook County Housing. Now we'll have a selection from our Rainbow Push Choir, and following them, we'll have a video talking about the Georgia election, and then the remarks by Jonathan L. Jackson Sr., our national spokesperson. Let's give them a round of applause. I want to take this time right now to recognize our veterans. If you're a veteran, would you please stand and be recognized? We thank God for you. Please stand at this time. Amen. Let's give them a hand for their service. And we thank you, Honorable William H. Hooks, for being here today. Would you please wave your hand for our audience? He was our speaker this morning during the breakfast, Honorable Judge William H. Hooks. Now we'll have remarks by our national spokesperson, Jonathan L. Jackson. Following him, we'll have remarks by our Vice President, the Reverend Dr. Todd Yeary, in that order. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Cassie. It's so great to see you. The great Judge Hooks, our freedom fighter, in and out of the courtroom. God bless him. Also great to see a newly elected commissioner, Brother Commissioner Brandon Johnson. Why don't you wave your hand? And he's here with his son today. For some people, it's about an election. It's about politics as usual. And it's just so refreshing to see some people that remember you the day after the election, your same friends. And so we have much hope and faith in Brother Brandon Johnson. He has a memory. Some elected officials quickly forget, and others are truly dutiful. And we thank you, Brother Brandon Johnson. Georgia is on my mind. I want to say thank you to Brother Andrew Gilliam as he heads into a runoff. The same old, same old. They are stealing votes in Florida all over again. Brother Andrew Gilliam has held himself with such dignity and distinction, beautiful family. And what I could see in Florida and Georgia was the culmination of one part of Reverend Martin Luther King's dream. Here is a graduate of FAMU, Florida A&M University in Georgia. Here is a graduate of Spelman College in the state of Georgia, Miss Stacey Abrams. Historically black colleges have a role. They consistently produce leadership, and these are two very fine examples, and we all should hold our heads high. And the vote is not over yet. When a teacher goes into a closet in Florida and finds a ballot box full of votes that have not been counted, the same Broward County in Florida that we saw the votes being stolen from Brother Al Gore, same Broward County. When are we going to get serious about protecting our democracy and making sure every vote is counted? Ladies and gentlemen, we have much work to do, and I can't thank my father, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, enough. I'm sure Reverend Martin Luther King in heaven, looking down, would be so proud of you 50 years later after his death. How many of us do anything for 50 years? How many people have stayed on the case for 50 years? Those that were opposed to Reverend Martin Luther King never changed. They never stopped fighting against our right to vote. Why is that so critical? Only citizens can vote. How do you go from being a Negro, a slave, a colored, a person that was 3/5 on the books of a human being, to being a full human being in the eyes of the law? We are full human beings in the eye of the Lord, but not in the eye of the law. You're only a full citizen when you vote. And I think of all these harsh lyrics that some of the rappers have, and how cold they are, and how insensitive they are to life. And they got a Glock, and they got a 9, and they'll take somebody out. Dad, it's a lot of bad talking brothers out here. How come they don't show up and talk about how bad they are and let's go vote? How come they don't talk now back to the President of the United States? I'm just saying, they so bad, but they're only mad at other black folks. They can't come out into the arena and talk back to the powers that be that are holding us back. Let's put the foolishness aside and let us rise up to the level and dignity where we're supposed to be. One other point I want to make, isn't it amazing? When we don't have water in Flint, let us not forget, and we don't have the political will to make sure that every American has a right to clean air, clean water, food, education, and school. But at the whim, the flick of a wrist, the president can send 5,000 troops to the border. For people that are 1,000 miles away, that need food and shelter, that are running from a war that the United States started in their country. The political will. When we've got children that are being slain right here in the city of Chicago, and there's no will to stop it. When we've got 86% of the murders unsolved right here in Chicago. When we see a mass killing in Pittsburgh, in a synagogue, in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. When we see children going to a country music show In Thousand Oaks, California, that's not exactly the hood. That's next to Encino, Sherman Oaks, Thousand Oaks, very prestigious neighborhood. But these bullets, they don't see race and religion. They see hatred. When a veteran didn't come home and get all of the support and services they need, we're all held responsible. And for my brothers in Georgia, as Stacey Abrams gets ready for her recount, and Brother Gilliam in Florida, DeKalb County had 150,000 people that were registered that did not vote. We voted 62% of our numbers in Florida. We could win Florida and we can win the state of Georgia. It's not over. In conclusion, I want you to stay encouraged. There are a lot of things that are going on that don't make much sense at all. When you see a party, and you should judge some people by the company they keep. And I don't care if it's Democrat, Republican, we're nonpartisan, as they say for our status here. But when a party attracts people that call themselves nationalists, in the words of Andrew Gilliam, he says, I'm not saying my opponent is a racist, but I'm just saying all the racists surely do like you. When you got a man who died, a pimp in the state of Nevada that wins, from his grave a pimp won on the Republican roster, Dad. When you got the person in the presidency that's dealing with porn stars, that's his preference, we don't judge. And he's engaged in payoffs, in pornography, and pimps want to endorse him. And vote snatchers want to endorse him. And he wants to attack every black woman that talks back to him. We need some men to stand up. To all of our friends in the clergy, please come to Rainbow Push. What is the role of the church? We need you now more than ever. We've got to excite and inform and inspire and encourage our people. We've got the numbers. We've got the power. And I thank God that we're still here and there are some strong fighting souls that'll never be quitters. My young brother and friend, our national field director, our national vice president, the Reverend Todd Yeary, please come on.
To all of our partners and friends around the world, to all of the veterans who have served this nation with dignity, to all of you, my brothers and sisters in justice work. A little over a year ago, with tiki torches and hate-filled hearts, producing hate-filled speech, they came to Charlottesville, Virginia, to stir up trouble and divisiveness, endorsed by the public indifference and overt callousness of an administration that proclaimed moral equivalency between those advancing racial supremacy and those demanding human dignity for all people. A little over a year later, we, the people, showed up with new and renewed voter registrations in one hand and righteous demands in the other. And fighting against cynicism and outright deception, attempts to live up to the mantra that if you can't beat them, cheat them. People in Georgia, Florida, Texas, and states all across this country pushed back against the intended thievery of our democracy and stood tall in long lines, waiting for the opportunity to lay our citizen demands on the table, not with tiki torches, but with a civic commitment to health care for civilians and veterans, quality and fully funded public education, the elimination of college debt, fair housing, voting rights, civil rights, restoration of voting rights for returning citizens in Florida, workers' rights, protections for organized labor, livable wages, developing uptown and not just downtown. We illuminated the darkness of despair, hatred, and mean-spiritedness, and burned the torches of justice, hope, and love. The message this morning is that after this past Tuesday, we still have to light it up. In this election, we carried light into dark places, and those who have demanded access to the franchise have brought light to dark places. The serious commitment to human dignity and human rights by candidates across the expanse of this land have brought light and hope to the dark time of our nation. Now that light has come, what do we see? We see the attempts to demonize and criticize fair elections as a renewed false justification for the unrelenting assault on fair, free, and open access to the ballot. We see what happened in Dodge City, where they moved the polling places out of the city completely and left it to the creativity of passionate folks believing in a bright tomorrow to find a way to get out of the city to the next town, to be able to go an additional mile just to be able to vote. We see the deliberate enrichment of the privileged at the expense of those who are hardworking, regular people from diverse communities who have already made this country great in what it is. And now that the lights have come on, we shall not hide and take cover. Scriptures declare, let your light so shine before men and women that they may see your good works and glorify God in heaven. But the scriptures admonish us with this reminder that no one takes their light and hides it under a bushel basket, but they put it on a stand to help light up the room. Tell your neighbor, light it up. We're not going to hide simply because the election's behind us. We're going to light it up. Bishop Desmond Tutu said, hope is being able to see that there's light despite all of the darkness. Yes, this has been a dark period in our history, but last Tuesday gives us a renewed sense of hope when we see Andrew Gillum and Stacey Abrams and Ben Jealous and those who have put their names and their commitments on the line. There is light emerging in our land. This election was about principles and not merely personalities. And so when we are driven by our principles, we can illuminate dark places. Tell your neighbor one more time, light it up. Now that we voted, we're going to keep coming. We're not hiding anymore. We're going to show up at the PTA meeting and the school board meeting. Somebody ought to help me say light it up. We're going to show up at the county board and the city council meetings. We're going to show up in the meetings of the general assemblies across this land and on Capitol Hill. We're going to show up at the city hall and at the union hall. Tell your neighbor, light it up. Don't run, don't hide, light it up. Don't back down, don't retreat. Tell your neighbor, light it up. Hope is still alive. Can you agree with me on that? Come on and tell your neighbor, we're going to light it up. Now put your hands together as our leader gets ready to come. Keep hope alive.
We thank Dr. Todd Eury for that. And next we'll have a video presentation before our founder and leader. We'll have a video presentation about the work. And after that, after the video,
Midterms 2018.
Did anybody else need another slice?
Yep, it's still in mine. Yep, ain't going nowhere. Right? Be heard and everything. First time vote. We got a first time vote. Why?
3 machines.
And how many people?
More people than when Barack Obama ran for president.
So I called Rev. I said, Rev, we need you over here at Pittman Park. Rev came, and then what happened?
Everything started moving because people believe in Jesse Jackson.
Reverend Jackson and Rainbow Push staff had been in Atlanta, Georgia to encourage voters to go to the polls and take souls to the polls in the state of Georgia, where, under Secretary of State and gubernatorial candidate Brian Kemp, at least 1.5 million voters were purged, and Stacey Abrams was slated to make history as the first African-American woman governor of Georgia.
If Mandela can stand in line 27 years, they can wait 4 hours.
Exactly.
Thank you. The challenge that she's facing is she's running against the referee, the umpire, and the scorekeeper. She's beating all of them. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Reverend Jackson was notified of a blatant act of voter suppression
at the Pittman Park Rec Center, and the voting machines that were here this morning were just 3. There should have been 8. But there's 2 locations that were condensed into 1, and those machines never were assigned to this location. People were waiting 2 and 3 hours. Lots of people left without voting.
Those 3 machines all morning. The 5 machines that they just brought here 10 minutes ago, 5 new machines. So that was a protest. These are 5 new machines they brought 10 minutes ago.
Reverend Jackson called officials immediately, and 5 additional machines were delivered. As the machines were installed, people began to chant.
Majority black district. Like, there's 2,000 voters here, potentially, and we could have lost hundreds of votes.
This line included a 73-year-old citizen with a walker who Reverend Jackson proudly escorted to the front of the voting line. Reverend Jackson urged everyone to stand in line and let nothing stand in the way of their not casting their ballots.
We're going to have some roundtable discussions. We want you to keep eating. Keep having a great time. Come on, put your hands together for the election night party. Hey!
Watch Night Party. The Rainbow Push Coalition hosted a party to watch results, hosted by Keep Hope Alive producer Santita Jackson.
That's what they see. We're going to tell them what we see.
Mrs. Jackson announced that Florida restored voting rights to more than 1 million felons. The crowd went crazy. A record number of women won races across the country. And do not forget the history makers: Lauren Underwood, Melody Stewart, Sharice Davids, Lou Leon Guerrero, Jared Polis, Marsha Blackburn, Rashida Tlaib, Ilan Omar, Deborah Holland, Veronica Escobar, Sylvia Garcia, Abby Finkenauer, Young Kim, Mandela Barnes, Garland Gilchrist, Ayanna Presley, Letitia James, Johanna Hayes, Zach Walls, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Single one of us, Republicans, Democrats, independents, from the biggest of cities, the smallest of towns, the people of Texas want to do and will do the great work of this country.
We did not see it coming.
Voters in Mississippi will head back to the polls November 27th for a runoff between the top 2 candidates in that state's U.S. Senate special election.
Hey everybody, it's Andrew Gillum here. As you know, we went out all across this state. We worked hard for every single vote that we received. Whether it's an absentee vote, whether you voted on election day, whether it is a provisional ballot, we want every vote counted. We didn't go across this state talking to folks in red county and blue counties and purple counties not to have them have their say. We're hopeful that every single vote will be counted in this race, and that way that all of us can walk away feeling extremely confident about what each and every one of us did.
To all of Georgia's voters, including the 1.2 million who haven't shown up before, welcome aboard. But I want to say this: if I wasn't your first choice, or if you made no choice at all, you're going to have a chance to do a do-over. And I need you to know that it is my mission to serve you, to serve Georgia, to make you proud. And for those who didn't pick me the first time, to change your mind about me and what we can accomplish together. To everyone who has already poured your precious time and energy and hard-earned dollars and your love into this campaign, I say thank you. And I urge you to stay with us. Because Georgia, friends, we are still on the verge of history, and the best is yet to come.
Voting matters.
Let's give a round of applause to our leader, Reverend Jackson, for the. We're going to hear from our young orator, Relaford Simmons III, who is a 6th grader at Southwest Chicago Christian School. Let's give him a warm welcome.
We gonna light it up. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place. And I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody ain't gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. It ain't about how hard you hit. Being perfect is about being able to look your friends in the eye and know that you didn't let them down because you told them the truth. And that truth was you did everything you could. And there wasn't one more thing you could have done. Friday Night Lights, being perfect. Wherever you are tonight, you can make it. Hold your head high. Stick your chest out. You can make it. It gets dark sometimes, but the morning comes. Don't you surrender. Suffering breeds character, and character breeds faith. And in the end, faith will not disappoint. Jesse Jackson's 1988 Democratic National Convention Address. Those are words from just some of the speeches I have had the opportunity to present to you through my involvement. Bring to the Saturday morning forum stage someone who has lived out all these words and ideas. Please welcome the one and only, the Reverend Jesse L. Jackson, Sr.
I am somebody. Come on, listen. I may be down, but not destroyed. Empty, but not void, 'cause I am somebody. Oh, I am somebody. Oh, I am somebody. Hey, you can try to walk away, but at the end of this day, sing, I am somebody. Look at your neighbor and say, I am somebody. Hey, I am somebody. You can try to walk away, but at the end of this day, you're gonna vote and say, I am somebody. Oh, I am somebody. God made me so I am somebody. Hey, you can try to walk away. End of this day, saying I am somebody.
I am somebody. I am somebody. Respect me, protect me, never neglect me. I am somebody. If my mind can conceive it and my heart can believe it, I know I can achieve it. Stop the violence, save the children, red and yellow, brown, black, and white. Everybody is somebody. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
I am somebody. Oh, I am somebody. Hey, you can try to walk away. End of this day, we're gonna say I am
big hand, give me a big hand, give me a big hand, give me a big